My name is Jessica Hetter. I'm Senior Advisor Communications in Mayor Reinert's office. Thank you so much for being here tonight for the 2025 State of the City Address. Please rise for the posting of the colors. Please be seated. And now it is my honor to welcome City Councilor Mike Mayu, District 2, to give a formal welcome to tonight's address.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to extend a thank you to the Duluth Police and Fire Color Guard team and to Duluth East Sterling Strings. Can we give them one more round of applause? My name is Mike Mayo. I'm the District 2 City Councilor, and I'd like to welcome you all to the district. We're at Ordean East, and we're here for the 2025 State of the City Address from Mayor Reinert. As a lifelong Duluthian, I'm a graduate of Duluth East and proud ISD 709 supporter, so I'm glad that we are here at Ordean today. And this is special to me because my mom was also a teacher, so happy to be in a school. And I did want to mention at the start of my speech, I was told today not to worry if the lights go out or the power surges tonight. It's just that the auditorium is haunted, so don't worry about it. I've had the honor and privilege of representing the 2nd District on the Duluth City Council since I was elected in November of 2021. And I'd like to talk about what makes this district special. We have diversity in many ways. We have college students and renters, and lifelong homeowners and retirees. Businesses that range from corporations to small mom and pop shops that are built right into the fabric of our neighborhood. We have tight-knit neighborhoods, from Kenwood to Endian, to Hidden Valley and Chester to Congdon and Aspenwood. Our district has neighborhoods that advocate and they organize together. We have amazing trails and parks. Tisher Creek, Chester Park, Chester Bowl, and Old Main are just some examples. And we have public schools and universities that span K through 12 and beyond. Right here in the district. Congdon Elementary just down the block. We're at.
Getting it done with.
It's haunted. We have Congdon down the street, Ordean East here, Duluth East right over on 40th, UMD and Scholastica, they're all located right here in District 2. and we have activism and participation in our democracy. I can tell you, as someone who receives all these emails and calls, that our constituents in the 2nd District are engaged, they're ready to get involved at every level of government, from caucuses to elections to issue-based organizing and participation in our local government. These are just some of the things that I know and love about our district, and I'd like to talk about why those matter at a time right now when things are so chaotic, especially at the national level, and frankly at every level of government to a certain extent. We have neighbors and constituents coming together, checking in with each other, and organizing for collective change. When times get tough, we turn to those around us and lean into our friends, family, and neighbors. We think globally and act locally. As city leaders, we're here to listen, to learn, to be in community with you. We're the closest elected officials to you, the people. People depend on their local elected officials, particularly in times like these. Whether it's showing up at places like Congdon Park to go to the bike parade and chat with parents and kids, going to neighborhood meetings in Kenwood to talk about rentals and landlords, visiting with people at their homes to see issues like light pollution, water runoff, or parking issues in person. These are the types of things I've had the distinct honor to do as a district councilor, and I know I'm not alone. I know Mayor Reinert's out there, I know my colleagues on the city council are out there, and I know all the other local elected officials are out there as well. I'd like to round out my time by reiterating that I'm grateful that this year's State of the City speech is being hosted in our district, a district that's full of activism, enthusiasm for Duluth, and our community. A district that has a strong sense of place and a strong sense of interconnections. For my constituents, know that I'm here to be your voice and advocate for you. I'm grateful to be able to help with such a wide variety of issues and topics and across my district every day. Thank you to Mayor Reinert and your team for the invite to talk today. I'm honored to have the privilege. And I'd like to welcome the next speaker in line here, Don Ness, the 38th mayor of Duluth from 2008 to 2016, current executive director of the Ordean Foundation, or as I know him, my former political science professor.
Hi there, friends. I think I might need to move this. Oh, I hope I didn't mess things up already. First of all, Mayor Reinert, city councilors, former co-workers, friends and neighbors, as a Ordean East parent, I want to congratulate us all for finding the auditorium. And it's a real honor to be here tonight to talk about the legacy of two very important Duluthians, Albert and Louise Ordean. We're gathered in Ordean East Middle School, a building that carries their name, although how that happened is quite a convoluted story for another day. Instead, my comments will focus on the reasons why the Ordeans are certainly deserving of this recognition. Albert and Louise lived with purpose. They were disciplined, humbled, and deeply committed to Duluth. At a time when they were amongst the wealthiest in the region, they avoided the spotlight and focused on something more lasting: trust, dignity, and opportunity, especially for people struggling to get by. Albert's story starts early. He was born in a small industrial town in western Pennsylvania in 1856. And he lost his father at the age of 10. He watched his mother raise 3 children alone while working as a dressmaker. And while he had a lot of success later in life, it was those formative moments that set for Albert the values that would inform very important decisions for him in the years to come. He started working as a teenager to help support the family, and his talents were quickly recognized. By the age of 21, even younger than Councilor Mayo, he was managing a bank in the rough mining camps of Leadville, Colorado in the 1870s. Imagine, Leadville, Colorado in the 1870s. Last year, during the Ordean Foundation's 90th anniversary, I reached out to my friends Brian Barber and Mike Schultz to help tell that story. They created a fun, animated film about Albert's time in Leadville, and let's take a moment to watch it now.
Getting it done with Albert Ordean. Meet Albert Ordean, a self-made man from modest means. His father died when he was young, and Albert's mother supported the family on her own as a dressmaker. The young Albert became a banker who helped build the city of Duluth, Minnesota. But first, he made his reputation in the wild western town of Leadville, Colorado.
In the city of Leadville, during the lead and silver rush in Colorado, he opened a bank.
It was a lawless time in the Wild West, with murder, extortion, stagecoach robberies, and poor table manners. Banker Albert Ordean needed to transport $50,000 from Denver to Leadville. That's $1.4 million today. But no stagecoach would take the job, not even Wells Fargo. Albert Ordean needed someone special for this task, someone with nerves of steel, courage, and integrity, someone quiet and unassuming, who could travel with that much money, unnoticed by questionable characters. That's when Albert Ordean turned to the only person who could get it done. Albert Ordean, himself. He turned to himself. Now, keep in mind, he was just 23 years old, a young man, taking on so much responsibility, facing so much danger. Can you possibly imagine? But Albert wasn't worried. He had a plan. He abandoned his usual banker's suit. But how best to blend in with the local population? He finally settled on the simple clothes of a miner, and he hid the money inside his extra socks and shirts, inside a rucksack. Armed with a 6-shooter, Albert Ordean boarded the stagecoach, the other passengers unaware that he was literally sitting on a fortune.
And they have to stop overnight at another town. Instead of getting a private room and drawing attention to himself, he bunks down with the rest of the rabble, if you will, that took the stage over, sleeping on the money as his pillow with a revolver in his pocket.
6 days later, exhausted by the ordeal, Albert delivered the money as planned.
And after that, in Leadville, he's earned this reputation as a guy, if you want to get something done, you go to Albert Ordean, and Albert Ordean will get it done.
Here in Duluth, we like to think those same qualities of courage and integrity helped Albert Ordean to become one of our city's early leaders and to accomplish amazing things in the service of others.
There you go. Yeah. So later, Albert and Louise made Duluth their home. He thrived in business, first in wholesale groceries, then as president of the First National Bank of Duluth. During the panic of 1907, when the grain industry faced collapse, railroad tycoon James J. Hill called on Albert to step in. Albert led the effort to raise the equivalent of over $100 million in today's money to help prevent that national crisis. President McKinley was a friend and offered him the role of the Secretary of the Treasury, which Albert politely declined. Louise, meanwhile, was equally as impressive. She led civic efforts, supported local causes, helped organize Duluth's first charity ball, and she and Albert were especially dedicated to vulnerable children, supporting the Duluth Children's Home and dozens of charities. They believed their wealth came with a duty to serve, and they acted on their belief quietly and intentionally. As impactful as the Ordeans were during their lifetime, their legacy after death may be even greater, both in terms of their generosity and the values that are embedded in their will, written almost exactly 100 years ago. To truly appreciate the weight of their decisions in writing their will, it helps to understand the world that they were living in. In the early 1920s in America, it was tense and uncertain times. The nation was still reeling from the trauma of World War I and the devastation of the Spanish flu pandemic, which had claimed tens of millions of lives worldwide. Waves of European immigrants arrived seeking a better life, only to be met with hostility and discrimination. The Ku Klux Klan was on the rise, including here in Duluth, where even prominent civic and business leaders lent their support. Around the globe, the seeds of fascism and isolationism were being sown, eventually leading to the Great Depression and eventually another world war. Now, consider Albert and Louise, wealthy, successful, and secure. They could have turned inward, using their privilege as a buffer from fear and division around them. They could have embraced the prosperity of the Roaring Twenties as proof of their own exceptionalism, as so many did during that time. But I imagine the two of them sitting quietly in their home, reflecting on the challenges of those times and the importance of their legacy. They made a deliberate choice to reject the politics of fear and exclusion. Their philanthropy wasn't just generosity, it was an act of quiet courage, rooted in the values that stood in contrast to the mood of that moment. When Albert died in 1928 and Louise in 1932, their will made those values unmistakably clear. They directed that their estate be used to support, quote, the poor of Duluth without discrimination to age, sex, color, or religious inclination. And that line, without discrimination, was no afterthought. It was a bold, principled stand, especially during those times when so few others were willing to make that type of declaration. The bulk of their wealth was used to establish the Ordean Foundation. Since its founding in 1933, the foundation has invested more than $80 million into our community, focused on combating poverty and helping generations of Duluthians find a path forward. Nearly a century later, their vision still guides us with every grant, every initiative, every life touched. Albert and Louise Ordean continue to make a difference, quietly, generously, and with purpose, just as they lived. Thank you. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce a person that I have tremendous respect for. Please help welcome City Councilor President Teresa Tominek.
Don, that is a hard act to follow. A guitar-playing pigeon. Seagull. Seagull. Okay. Good evening. I'd like to talk with you tonight about caring, how we all care. All of us who work within the city, working for the good of all residents and visitors to our city, the city councilors, city staff, public safety, and our mayor. And all of you who took the time this evening to come join us in our State of the City presentation. In last Sunday's Duluth News Tribune, columnist Jenny Schlecht wrote an opinion piece entitled, "Remembering Where You Started Out and How You Got to Where You Are Now." She writes, "We never have things figured out when we start, no matter where it is we're starting. As we put in the work to improve, it's easy to forget how far we've come. It never hurts to reflect on the journey." And that is what we are doing here tonight. It is also why the City Council held a retreat last Saturday to remember where we've been, put in the work to improve, and visualize our future. I offer my thanks to fellow councilors who put in this time, in addition to the previous Thursday's agenda session and last night's council meeting and tonight's gathering, all while taking care of work and family commitments. This truly shows how much they all care. Could we give our councilors a round of applause, please? Thank you. During that time, our new city administrator, Matt Staling, led a discussion of council goals for the next few years. New Human Rights DEI officer, Dr. Marcia Liu, told of her upcoming work. City Attorney Terry Lair helped us clarify our roles and duties. Finance Director Jen Carlson gave us a preview of the 2026 budget, and John Dukic arranged for our federal lobbyists to give us an update on the ever-changing federal cuts and expenditures. These are the topics that are of interest to all our councilors because we all care. The past year was a challenging one for us as a council as we work to define what is council and city business, consider the best allocation of our final ARPA funds, and struggle as to how to best care for all our constituents in a thoughtful manner. We take into account all opinions as to how to promote and grow our business community, how to care for our unhoused population, how to grow our economy when housing and child options are tight and a path forward is difficult. Speaking of housing, I received a list from Tricia Hobbs, Manager of Economic Development, and DEDA, a completed and projected multifamily housing projects from 2023 to 2026. The list is impressive. Let me share just a few. Arrowhead Acres, 275 units in progress. Brewery Creek Apartments, 52, completed in 2024. Lakeview, 333, 200 units in progress. Skyridge Flats, senior housing, 70 units in progress. Eris Apartments, 200, completed in 2025. Wadena West Apartments, 60 in progress. Urbane Duluth, 44 in progress. Ordean Apartments, a new redevelopment that is going to help our downtown so greatly, 35 units in progress. And that's not the complete list. A few more examples of how we all care is the work the council has done in cooperation with the county and the service providers to provide a safe place for people to stay if they do not yet have secure housing. Council allocated $500,000 of DEDA funds and $500,000 of City of Duluth funds for a total of $1 million to the Damiano third floor shelter project. The city also allocated $250,000 of HUD ARPA money for the Union Gospel Mission Engagement Center. We all care about the safety of our preschoolers, our school kids, and our walkers, so work has been done with our city planners to make the drop-offs and pickups at Lowell School and the traffic patterns on Skyline safer for all. A special thanks to Councilor Tara Swenson, who along with Councilors Nephew and Mayu worked tirelessly on these projects. We care about our visitors to Duluth and our hospitality industries who rely on a steady influx of people who want to share what we so treasure. The mayor established a tourism task force that I was proud to serve on under the leadership of Karen Pionk. This work, with input from a wide variety of stakeholders too numerous to name, resulted in the hiring of an excellent firm, Madden, to represent our city and an eventual return to our local Visit Duluth to be our DMO. On the council, we have different approaches to issues we care about, and we bring our hearts and souls to make sure we are doing the right thing, to represent the constituents who elected us to office, as well as those who supported someone else. I appreciate former City Administrator Dave Montgomery with us this evening, and the parting words he said to me as he retired. They were something like this: Therese, I know how you think on most issues, but even I don't know how you will vote on everything. In my opinion, what Dave said is a testament to how all of the councilors work. We listen deeply to each issue. We consult with constituents and staff to learn more. City staff do the daily work that makes this city run and provides the answers that we need to make informed decisions. And we make decisions not in line with any party affiliation or preset notion of how things should go, but on the merits of each issue. Those decisions are made to the best of our abilities to support our city and all Duluthians. With our administration in place and our council well-balanced and working well together, there is a new sense of commitment and cooperation that will serve us well in the coming year and beyond. And speaking of caring, last Friday, I had the honor of attending the commendation ceremony for the Duluth Police Department. The gathering honored those in the department, including some from the fire department, who had gone above and beyond their duties to protect our community. People like Officer Dana Letica, who I see regularly at the Gary New Duluth community meetings, and Officer Key Paulus, whose grandfather, Robert Paulus, was a dear friend of our family. both of whom received the Life-Saving Award. Back to the ceremony, I happened to be sitting directly behind the mayor. And I noticed as the honor guard slowly proceeded in, the mayor's posture. Now, being a retired chiropractor, I notice posture a lot. So you should all sit up straight now. But Roger's posture was exceptional. I know he is a Navy commander, so he often stands at attention. But there was something special in his posture that struck me as showing such respect and caring for his service, both to country and to our city. And with that, it is now my honor to present you the Mayor of Duluth, Roger Reinert.
Well, thank you, President Tomanek, for that. I was a little emotional, so I appreciate your kind comments. Good evening, Duluth. It is my honor to be with you here tonight as your 40th mayor, and to have this opportunity to deliver my second State of the City address. Just 11 short months since my first one. Those 11 months have been filled with hard work, challenges, at times sharp critiques, and plenty of lessons learned. You know, there's no onboarding for a new mayor, so it's been a period of learning what you don't know. But it's also been a critical time of building, realigning, and refocusing. I want to begin by sharing a couple thank yous, as Councilor Mayo did, to Ordean East for hosting us tonight. You know, last year we went out to historic Denfeld High School, and this being Duluth, of course we had to go east this year. And last year we started with a bit of history about that place and space, so an extra special thank you to former Mayor Don Ness for taking a few minutes out of your day job as Executive Director of the Ordean Foundation to share with us a bit about the Ordeans. You know, from a foundation to a building downtown to a court at UMD to this school, it's a name we know, but as a community don't know as much about as we could. Thank you as well to the East National Honor Society, who were your greeters and seaters tonight, volunteering to help with this annual event. And of course, to the East High School Sterling Strings for their amazing music that helped welcome us all here this evening. The rendition of the national anthem was fantastic. I was hoping maybe they'd mix a little Coldplay in there, so I'll need to make that request next time. Thank you, Councilor Mayo, for welcoming us to your district. Just a fantastic way to greet us to this part of town and also share your deep knowledge and love for your district. And again, President Tomanek, for your comments tonight, I thought exceptional. And I think of all the things you said, the sharing with the community, how well the council is working and how well administration and council are working together, I think is important for everyone to hear. I also want to recognize all our counselors that are here tonight, other elected officials, and of course our city staff. We also have business, civic, and faith community leaders here. You know, we are all partners in this big, small town, and we work together to make Duluth a better place for all. And I want to thank each resident who has taken time to join us here tonight, whether in person, here in the auditorium, or joining us online via the live stream. It is actually you that make Duluth the historic, unique, diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community that we are. To my partner, my family, my friends, your support, your words of encouragement, and your assistance in helping me stay the person doing the thing instead of becoming the thing is instrumental. And I thank you. You know, I hear all the time that mayor must be a hard job. Don, you have, I think, your own opinion, but my response, you have no idea. People think the city is responsible for everything that happens in Duluth. And they think the mayor knows every single thing that happens at City Hall. And they think as mayor, you personally make every single decision at City Hall. And I'm also just going to say it, in Duluth, we like to make everything political, even though most things at the local level really aren't. Last year, I was committed to focusing on 5 big issues. They were growing our commercial tax base, housing across all income levels, streets and utilities, downtown Duluth, and affordable property taxes. And in 2024, we accomplished a lot, and I want to share with you just a few of those things. Today, we have a multi-million-dollar expansion underway at the Sofadale plant in West Duluth, a $200 million investment that will triple their current workforce, as well as ensure the life of that facility for decades to come. The new Amazon distribution center is currently hiring and set to open soon. Those projects, along with Second Harvest, highlight that our far west neighborhoods are actually really our growth corridor, a place where we have the land for business and residential construction and neighborhoods that welcome it. It's also where rail, freeway, and water all come together, as well as an easy connection over the hill to the airport. We know that post-pandemic, multimodal, having all those transportation connections is a competitive advantage. We broke ground on the Incline Village and the Lakeview 333 projects. When complete, the Incline Village will be an entire new Duluth neighborhood with some 1,300 market rate apartments, condos, retail, as well as public outdoor amenities. We repaired over 19 miles of streets in 2024 and are keeping pace in 2025 with that roughly 15 miles a year, every year, that I told you about last year, and that we need to do in order to refresh our street system every 30 years. We kicked butt on filling potholes. And something I'm ridiculously excited about, we did crack sealing for the first time in several years. It's not just about refreshing and rebuilding, it's also about maintenance and preservation. In partnership with downtown stakeholders, we kicked off the Imagine Downtown Duluth process. And as a community, we now understand that the future of downtown is residential. And we're actively moving in that direction. Again, new construction at Lakeview 333 on one end of downtown, combined with the conversion of the Ordean building from commercial to residential at the other. You know, these 2 projects alone will add some 500 new residents to downtown Duluth. Meet roughly a third of our goal to have 1,500 folks living downtown and the establishment of an actual downtown residential neighborhood. As Councilor Tomanik noted, we hosted a public safety meeting with DPD, Duluth Fire, and our city attorney. And we passed controversial but a significant set of public safety measures to help give our public safety team something between administrative fines and the extreme of felonies. We might forget, but we peacefully resolved a 2.5-month encampment at Priley Circle. After 15 years, the cozy is finally down, making way for improvement in the historic part of our First Street district. And the Shoppers Ramp has been approved for demolition and will begin soon. We completed securing the Hart, the First Street, and the Tech Village ramps. Inside our organization, we have 7 labor contracts, 7 bargaining unions at City Hall. They all had labor contracts up in 2024. Now, that's a lot for any year, but it's a lot for your first year. We settled 6 of those labor agreements, and negotiations are currently underway with fire so that we can get to 7. Also, as our president noted, we moved tourism marketing out of City Hall and back to a DMO, that's Visit Duluth, where it has historically been and where it belongs. We in City Hall are not tourism experts, and the future of this key industry in Duluth should not be so political. And with a 9-0 vote of our city council, we set a 0% property tax levy for the first time in a decade, after an average of 9% year-over-year property tax increases. A significant step towards a tax burden for our residents and our businesses that they can both afford and sustain. I'm also proud that we spent last year inside the building committing ourselves to good process, even when that didn't make for good politics. You know, a major first-year task for any new mayor is building their leadership team. And we already have an exceptional one, and many of them are here tonight. And in the next year, I know it's only going to get better. These folks are highly skilled and deeply invested in the city of Duluth as an organization. They are subject matter experts with strong ties to our community, and they have a clear vision for Duluth's future and the dedication needed to get us there. We had 9 new hires at the leadership table, and I'm so incredibly proud to share with you that a year ago, I did not know a single one of them. These are all mayoral appointments, key roles for accomplishing the agenda for which voters elected me. I was not obligated to use any particular process. Simply make recommendations to our city council and ask for their support. But that's not what we did. We didn't hire friends, we didn't reward donors, it wasn't about personal loyalty, and we didn't attempt to check political boxes. Instead, we looked at the needs of the organization. We rewrote job descriptions, and in some cases, Dave, we made new ones where they hadn't existed. We then went to market for the very best candidates we could find, even if that meant some short-term pain and, in some cases, some pretty sharp public criticism, while we took the time necessary to do it. This is the kind of work that goes unnoticed and doesn't make newspaper headlines. Process over politics. A couple other quick leadership notes before I leave this topic. You know, a big lesson for me, and one that Dave Montgomery helped me understand in my first year, was the distinction between the role of mayor and the role of city administrator. The job of mayor is to provide vision and direction and to be externally facing. The job of the city administrator is to implement that vision by focusing internally and overseeing the day-to-day operations of the city. The mayor isn't actually the most important role in City Hall. It's the city administrator. So we're incredibly fortunate to have had an exceptional new city administrator start just over 2 months ago. Again, welcome aboard, Matt. Administrator Matt Staling has 30 years of experience in local government. He's a licensed attorney with an HR and a labor background and has previously served as a city attorney, and most recently served for a decade as the city administrator in St. Cloud. Matt brings experience with one of our competitors in the regional center market space. One that not just sits in a county, it sits in 3 counties. He knows and understands partnerships and how to be regional. Matt is also an Army veteran who deployed twice during his service. Thank you, Matt, for your service. Now, the feedback so far on Matt, I'm happy to say, has been outstanding. Matt has an upbeat attitude and is a positive outlook person. He is approachable, he listens more than he speaks, and is very collaborative. And Matt, perhaps the best compliment I can give you tonight is that I've heard multiple times now from either former coworkers or people who've talked to your former coworkers, and they are either mad or sad that you left them to join our team. So, now this is also a good opportunity to make clear that despite the rhetoric at the national level, in Duluth, we remain committed in our organization to diversity, equity, sustainability, and resiliency. Last year we had an opening in our human rights officer position, and we took the opportunity to evaluate that role, both the external requirements and also our internal needs, and to develop the role's first ever job description and expand the responsibilities. It is now a key leadership role that covers the required human rights obligations contained in the city charter, but is also a leader for our own important internal work of equity and inclusion. It is also a community resource for our businesses and organizations. Now, it took us a minute to find the right candidate, but Dr. Marcia Liu was worth the wait. She's been with us for just over a month now and is already making a difference. We are thrilled to have her at our leadership table and as a resource for other organizations in our community, especially at this moment in history. We at the City of Duluth continue to support this work, not because it's a political statement, but because we believe diversity is a strength within our community and a strength within the City of Duluth organization. Earlier this year, we also lost an amazing leader in Mindy Granley. Mindy went to the state of Minnesota. She is taking all that she learned in working with the City of Duluth, all that she did for our organization, and as a key team leader, providing that same support to local units of government across the entire state of Minnesota. As you've heard, with every other opportunity, we've spent the last month reviewing and revising that job description, and it still has a few more internal hoops to clear, but we expect it to post sometime in early April. The revised job description has now been expanded and is responsible for leadership around environmental sustainability, energy efficiency, resilient transportation systems, and sustainable utility management. So tonight, I'm just going to put a plug out there. If you know someone who is progressive in their thinking, but also practical in their application, please encourage them to apply once that position is posted. It's also pretty helpful if they're able to seek, obtain, and monitor sizable grants and financial partnerships. People chuckle because they know what that role does. So along with better understanding my role, I also learned that the 5 big issues that you told me about on the campaign trail and were our focus as priorities in year 1 are really 3. Effective and efficient core city services at a tax rate that we can afford and sustain. Housing at all income levels, which includes a focus on a downtown residential neighborhood. And growing our commercial tax base, because commercial taxes pay 2/3 of the tax bill. So when we're not growing commercial, residential makes up the difference, and we need substantially more of it. Now, we did a lot of hard work in 2024, and we are entering 2025 with positive momentum. Councilor Tomanik did a really nice job of highlighting some of that. And we have many accomplishments about which we should rightly be proud. So in 2025, we will have some significant challenges, but we'll also have some opportunities. So let me just highlight a few things. And let's start downtown. So first, we have not made the progress this past year downtown that I wanted to see us make. Cleanliness and public safety remain challenges. Graffiti and litter, property damage. Behaviors that were in ramps have now moved into skywalks. And while most individuals struggling with mental health and substance use issues within our community are nonviolent, that's not true for all. These issues impact everyone, residents, businesses, the individuals, shoppers, our visitors. And addressing them is crucial to realizing the potential of our downtown as a residential hub. Because again, friends, that is the future. A place that was once commercial then retail, then professional, will next be residential. It just makes the most sense given the post-pandemic trends that we've seen. And we desperately need the housing. We need it to meet our workforce needs, and we need it to meet our population goal of 90,000 by the year 2030. Our lack of growth is not because people don't want to be a part of the Duluth community, it's because they can't find housing. And to be blunt, and I know our county auditor is here with us in the audience, we can't afford for downtown property values to fall off a cliff. Neither can the county, neither can the school district. 2 months ago, a building in downtown Minneapolis that was purchased for $200 million in 2016 sold for $6 million in 2025. That's a 97% property tax or property value decrease in just 9 years. 97%. Public safety and cleanliness are the foundation for a successful downtown. That's why with Chief Sano's leadership, we have added our community service officers in addition to badged officers, in addition to outreach teams, and the Downtown Duluth Clean and Safe team to create a stronger presence in the downtown core. It's also why I supported the City Council's effort, led by Councilor Eric Forsman, to examine the existing skywalk system. I look forward to the external recommendations that we will get back sometime this fall. Because right now we are attempting to monitor, maintain, and activate 3 miles of elevated skywalk, in addition to 30-plus blocks at street level. We are simply overdue to ask really basic questions regarding when, where, and how much. But friends, downtown issues can't just be City of Duluth issues. They are community issues. They are Duluth issues. We do public safety, but we're not the only ones who do public safety. And the city doesn't do health and human services at all. To focus on the root causes of issues we've seen post-pandemic means working closely with partners, closely with St. Louis County, and closely with the state of Minnesota to help address homelessness, mental health, and substance use issues. These aren't challenges that any single entity can solve. It will require the city, the county, state agencies, the business community, civic groups, faith communities, private foundations, and nonprofits. We all have a role to play, and we all have responsibilities. Next, I want to take just a minute to talk about the budget in 2025. In my last State of the City, I told you that we would hold the line on property taxes, and we did. The first 0% levy in a decade. But at that time, I also told you it was unlikely we would be able to do that every year. We, as an organization of 900 people, have all the same cost drivers as everyone else. Materials, wages. And again, 7 labor contracts, all of which were last negotiated during the pandemic. All of which include wage increases. In fact, in 2025, every single city employee will see a wage increase. And they're deserved. But we already spend 82% of our general fund on wages and benefits. So if we take no other actions, in 2025, we would be looking at an 18% property tax increase. And in 2026, another 8%. And that smaller number in 2026 is based on the really large number in 2025. But rising valuation and property taxes have a real impact on everyday Duluthians, so let me be clear tonight. We're not going to do that. We normally begin the budget process in June, but this year we started it last week. I can't tell you tonight what the number will be when we get done with that process, but I can tell you it will not be 24% over the next 2 years. We should also just take a sober look and account for the fact that that math doesn't take into account what is happening at both the state and federal level. With the recent passage of the continuing resolution by Congress, We saw $1.5 million potential funding for critical lift bridge and water treatment plant projects evaporate. And of course, the state of Minnesota just learned that their budget deficit for the next biennium is $1 billion worse. So now $6 billion, which is roughly 10% of the state's general fund. Duluth must be concerned about this because local government aid is our single largest source of revenue. And it accounts for nearly 1/3 of City of Duluth income. So any loss in local government aid will directly translate into reductions in city services. And tonight, if we're honest with ourselves, we know that the actions being taken at the federal level are only going to make the state budget situation worse. And in turn, our budget situation worse. Because federal flows to state, and state flows to local. Yet streets and utilities must be repaired. Bridges must be fixed. And we must ensure clean and safe drinking water to our residents and our near neighbors. Now, before I speak about this next topic, I want to take a minute and acknowledge a couple other special guests who are here tonight, the mayors of some of our near neighbor cities. So I know Mayor Boucher from Hermantown was unable to be with us tonight. I think he wisely chose to go to a Wild game instead. But Mayor Chad Ward from Proctor is here, and I know Mayor Suzanne Herstead from Rice Lake was also planning to be in attendance tonight. Thank you for inviting me to your recent State of the Cities event last week, and also for making it a priority to be here this evening. I appreciate you and the partnership that we are all developing. It's good for our communities, and it's good for our region. In 2025, Duluth, you will hear me say regional a lot, because what happens in their communities matters to Duluth. And I know that what happens in Duluth matters to your residents, because if I had $1 for every time somebody said, I don't live in Duluth, but I have an opinion about what happens in Duluth. If I had that money, we wouldn't be worried about the city budget tonight. So, the reality is that 2/3 of St. Louis County's population lives in Duluth, or a community with whom we share a border. 2/3, 135,000 people. We have to focus on better partnerships with our near neighbors and with St. Louis County. And we have to seriously think about regional services. Things like a regional library system. Things like a regional park system. Things like regional economic development, represented by a regional EDA, Economic Development Authority, instead of 4 communities competing against each other. And we already have such a classic example with a regional water treatment system that provides drinking water to all of our residents. You know, most of the systems and services in Duluth were developed in the 1950s and 1960s at a time when Duluth had 110,000 residents. We were the 3rd largest city in the state. And Mayor Ward, our only near neighbor, was the city of Proctor with a population of slightly less than 3,000 people. Things have changed a little in the last 70 years. And we cannot continue to operate operate based on a model from the 1950s and the 1960s of Duluth being the big city. If we were all to sit down and whiteboard these things today, they would look differently. Now, I know we all have our hands full until the end of the legislative session. That also seems to, dramatically change on a weekly basis. But early this summer, I look forward to an opportunity for the 4 near neighbor mayors to get together and see what might make sense for all of our communities and, frankly, all of our taxpayers. Now, the last big issue I want to talk about tonight, an issue that in 2025 it will be important for us to take tangible steps forward on, is the former Lester Park Golf Course. It simply cannot continue to sit and deteriorate. The Lester Park Golf Course was established in 1934. The land for Lester was acquired through a combination of donations and financial contributions. Thomas Cole, president of the then Oliver Iron Mining Company, originally donated land in 1890 that would become part of the golf course. And then in 1929, prominent community members formed the City Land Company to finance the construction of the course. Those with long memories will remember that in 1985 it was expanded to 27 holes to include the Lake Nine, providing a more challenging and incredibly scenic layout. With 20 of its holes offering views of Lake Superior, the course was listed as one of the 10 most scenic in the state by Explore Minnesota. We recall that the city chose to close the course in 2020 due to financial constraints and the impact of the COVID pandemic. And in 2021, the then City Council unanimously approved a resolution to transfer 37 acres of Lester to the Duluth Economic Development Authority, DEDA, with the goal to build new residential opportunities as well as generate some revenue to support operations. Now, I heard a lot about Lester on the campaign trail. And sure, this is a huge issue, probably the huge issue in the 1st District, but not only in the 1st District. I heard from advocates throughout the community who felt there hadn't been enough opportunity to engage with this decision and consider alternative possibilities to permanent closure. I pledged to those folks that they would have another bite at the apple. Or perhaps a better analogy is another swing from the tee box. So last year I created a working group charged with exploring year-round recreational activities, including, but not exclusive to, golf. They were also asked to evaluate nonprofit and alternative management models where the city would retain ownership, but an external partner would manage the day-to-day operations, akin to what we see happen at the Lake Superior Zoo or at Chester Ski Hill, where we own the asset, but somebody else runs it. They were also asked to consider the potential for additional adjacent housing. Now, this was no easy task, and I want to thank members of various groups like the Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance, COGS, DXC, DUFTA, the Superior Hiking Trail, and Friends of Duluth Public Golf, all of whom provided input over the past several months. I also want to thank golf advocates, neighborhood residents, and lakeside area business owners who participated and provided input. And I know he's here tonight, so I especially want to thank Tim Meyer, who took on the thankless job of trying to facilitate some very disparate interests. And Tim, thank you very much. Now, the working group has a deadline of April 1st, which is now just a few days away. And my understanding from Tim is that 4 different possibilities have arisen and been explored, all of which require fairly substantial financial resources. I've also been told that none of these has a consensus of support from the entire group. So, in bringing this working group discussion to a close, I've asked Mr. Meyer to make a presentation to the council sometime soon as a committee of the whole. And then we'll have to take it from there. So while it may be disappointing to those passionate about Lester that there isn't a clear path forward as a result of the working group's efforts, I will still, tonight in this very public forum, say thank you to all of them for their work. Because as we consider next steps, some elements of a future master plan have become very clear because of their discussions. First off, public green space. Secondly, a building that can provide equipment rental, community meeting space, event space, food and beverage in a part of our community that doesn't have a lot of those options. A connection to the adjacent hiking, biking, and ski trails. Housing, and yes, golf. So as I bring my comments tonight towards a conclusion, I do want to take a minute just to highlight 3 other smaller initiatives that I think are also really important in 2025. They are intended to increase communication and resident engagement. First up, a City of Duluth app. Now, by a show of hands, how many people know the Resident Problem Reporter portal exists? Jess, you don't count. You've tried to do this every single time. So, and how to use it. There weren't a lot of hands. Exactly. I've spoken repeatedly about the need for a City of Duluth app. Superior has one that works and works pretty well, and Duluth is overdue. You know, a dedicated mobile app would help streamline communication and services. The city app would better centralize key functions like reporting issues, everything from a pothole to a street light that's out. It would also provide easy access to city news, bill payments, permit applications, and those ever important snow emergency alerts. We haven't had them yet. We will. A city app will also increase transparency, improve responsiveness, and hopefully foster a stronger connection between the city and our residents by offering a more simple, efficient, and convenient way to engage with the city organization. It will replace the Resident Problem Reporter portal. It's also just easier to say. And take advantage of a powerful tool nearly all of us have at our fingertips, our cell phones. It will also be much more effective than calling the city's complaint line, which I don't know for you, Don, but it's also known as the mayor's phone line. So, in 2025, we also plan on conducting the first resident survey since 2019, because nothing's changed since 2019, right? We make our best decisions when they are based on data, and in too many instances, we make decisions based on information that is actually more anecdotal. The resident survey will give the city valuable insight on how our residents think things are going. Not just those who show up to the state of a city address or a city council meeting or a neighborhood meeting or a focus group or a public input session, but also those who are working multiple jobs, who have transportation limitations, who are struggling to raise our youngest Duluthians as single parents. This survey will allow us to gather direct feedback on the quality of life in all 34 of our unique neighborhoods. Feedback on our core city services. Feedback on priorities for future city investments. And for as long as I'm your mayor, we will refresh that information on a regular basis. Because regularly collecting this data will help our 900 employee and nearly $500 million operation make better informed decisions that align with the needs and concerns of our community. I am especially excited about the third initiative I'll talk about here in 2025, designed to better connect with us as a community, and that's the return of a citywide book read. You know, today's politics amplify any mistake or misstep. They seek out controversy. Instead of debating and discussing, we now wage social media wars where we seek to defeat and destroy. If someone is happy, they tell you in person. If they are unhappy, they go online and try to tell the world. This behavior is eroding the civic fabric of our community. We need more opportunities in our big, small town to connect personally and to remember how to treat each other with civility and with respect. We are a stronger community when we find ways to build deeper relationships with our old friends, as well as with our new neighbors. And also, when we remind ourselves to think and speak positively about our community and Duluth's future. Duluth can and should be the community to model better behavior. We pride ourselves on our civic engagement. Civic pride is a part of who we are as Duluthians. So accountability to each other for our words and actions, whether they are in person or online, matters. And this is a great opportunity, and a great opportunity for doing that is to leverage a fantastic public resource, our Duluth Public Library. I've had the opportunity to have a brief conversation with both Carla Powers, the manager of our library, and Aaron Krieger, the executive director of the Library Foundation, and I've asked them to join me in thinking about a book that we could all read over the course of the next 12 months. One that would help us focus on countering this growing trend towards harsh, negative, and bullying online behavior. Behavior that discourages rather than encourages the most basic tool in civil society, respectful public discourse. Now, one potential read is Sherry Turkle's Reclaiming Conversation. It focuses on how technology is affecting our ability to communicate meaningfully. She gives tangible suggestions for restoring human connection, suggestions for improving our communication skills, and ideas for fostering accountability in our conversations. I'm certainly open to other suggestions, so if you have them, get them to me or Carla or Aaron, but that sounds like a pretty good place to start. And my goal is at the end of the read, much like back in 2013 when author Rebecca Skloot came to Duluth to discuss the immortal life of Henrietta Lacks, we will invite that author to come in 2025 and join us in a community conversation. It will be an investment not only in ourselves, but also in Duluth. And just perhaps, Duluth can show other communities a better way to engage with each other in this digital age, and also a better way to engage with our democracy. So let me close by acknowledging the elephant in the room. And Councilor Mayo, you spoke to this as well. Your concerns, fears, anxieties, frustration, and confusion about what's happening at the national level. These are valid. I share them. Not just as your mayor, trying to figure out how we continue to do all of the things that we depend on our state and federal partners to do, but as an individual who is also living through this moment in history. We are in a time of the most intense national division I can recall. And it is natural to want to bring those conversations to the local level, where government feels more tangible, is more responsive, and is frankly just easier to access. But it's possible that that's going to feel a little frustrating, because we also live in a federal system where various levels of government have very specific areas of responsibility. And at the local level, our job is streets, utilities, and public safety, libraries, parks. Effective and efficient, and at a tax rate you can both afford and sustain. It's not to solve national political fights. Rather, our responsibility is to provide reliable core city services, those things upon which you both rely and you must depend. And our opportunity is to provide stability. Stability in a historic time of disruption. But let me also say this. Those of you who know me know I spent the better part of 20 years in the classroom as a civics teacher. The highest office in the land is not mayor, it's not governor, and it's not president. It is citizen. Real change doesn't happen from the top down. If you are concerned, become engaged, get informed, take action. If you are frustrated, turn that frustration into something productive. Volunteer. Make a donation. Get involved in ways that make a difference right here in Duluth. Because no matter what happens at the national level, what we build together as a community here in Duluth is what truly shapes our daily lives. And to be honest, with dark clouds on the state and national horizon, we're going to need your help. So thank you again to everyone who took the time to join us tonight, live or online. We're going to close with our Clarence Maddie Award, our Citizen of the Year Award, and our Good Neighbor Award. So stay with us for just a few more minutes. To be quite honest, these individuals deserve way more attention and recognition than I do. Friends, what I love most about Duluth is that we're a big, small town. We're not 1 degree of separation. We're like a 1/4 degree of separation. In 2025, let's use that closeness and that connectedness to our advantage. Let's encourage and support those who choose to serve. Let's call out those who behave like bullies. Let's engage in a community book read that helps us build the skills to do better. Let's decide that in Duluth, not every single thing has to be political. 2025, we're not merely going to survive, but because we choose to work together, we're going to thrive as a community. Thank you very much. So now I think what happens is Jess gets the mic back and I just become Vanna Wade. So, okay.
I ask you to come on stage to our recipients. We have a staircase to the left and to the right, both with a railing for your safety. So we'll start with the Clarence Maddie Award. This is the highest recognition awarded by the City of Duluth and is given to a city employee who has rendered outstanding service to the organization, our community, or both. The award is named after former city administrator Clarence Maddie. Clarence managed to raise both a prominent doctor and a prominent lawyer in our community, and notably for this award, Maddie also worked for 5 different mayors. In fact, he came out of retirement to support his 5th mayor. As noted, this award is presented to an employee that goes beyond their job description, providing valuable service to their colleagues and to the citizens of Duluth. Tonight, we present the Clarence Maddie Award to Dave Montgomery. Like Maddie, just a few more words for you, Dave. Like Maddie, Dave has worked for multiple mayors and also, like Maddie, left retirement to return to City Hall and support Mayor Reinert during his first year in office. Congratulations, Dave. And thank you. Sure.
I made the mistake of asking if he wants to switch.
Stage is fine.
Cindy, was that a bad call?
Well, thank you very much. This is truly a wonderful honor. I get this really from working with a series of really terrific people. I've worked with 3 different mayors, each wonderful in their own ways, each very different in their own ways, multiple city councils, 900 employees, both current and prior, who I couldn't have done the work I did without their help. But kind of echoing something, Roger, you talked about, it's also the broader community. It's the partners, it's the stakeholders, it's the business leaders, it's the neighborhood leaders, it's all the people who I've had an opportunity to work with, collaborate with, and deal with and work on solutions to issues and problems that made this the most weirdly fun and interesting job I've probably ever had. So with that, I am always grateful. Thank you very much.
For years, the city has recognized a citizen for outstanding personal and selfless contributions to the City of Duluth. They have a place in our collective history for seeing need and opportunity and moving their solutions forward. They step in to do the work that others either do not or cannot. These people weave the fabric of a brighter and stronger community. For many years, this recognition was done in partnership between the city and David Winstead Post of the American Legion and was called the Duluth Hall of Fame. Tonight, with the Citizens of the Year Award, we're taking a step towards bringing that program first established in 1924. This award is given tonight to Mr. Mark Bobin. Mark was born and raised in Gary and graduated from Morgan Park High School. Motivated by a desire to give back to the community, he became deeply involved in revitalizing the G&D rec area. As president of the G&D Development Alliance, Mark has been instrumental in transforming the Recreation Center into a vibrant community hub. Under his leadership, the center has seen numerous enhancements, including the development of soccer fields, a dog park, a community garden, a sport court, and notably, a state-of-the-art skate park, which opened last September 2024. As we think about volunteers, organizations, private contributions, and the city working together to do more than any one of us could individually, Mark and the G&D Development Alliance stand out as a prime example of this work. Mark, please, well, you're here. Thank you for joining us on stage. With him tonight is also Franny Morris, and Mark, we know you'd be upset if Franny wasn't also mentioned. She has been involved with this effort since the very beginning, and Mark often refers to Franny as his chief of staff. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. This is a surprising honor. It truly is. The only reason I'm here is because of so many others. The fabulous people of Gary, Duluth, of Duluth in general, that have supported us from day one. Our business community, truly, truly outstanding. Our trade unions, who have come and volunteered in so many ways. Various organizations, foundations that have provided grants and support and advice. We greatly appreciate you. St. Louis County made a major grant to help us complete our skate park. City of Duluth, obviously, the partnership that we've developed over the years with 3 different mayors, city administration, our fire department, our police department, how they have come out and supported our community. All of you deserve this award, and we thank you. Thank you so much.
In his first State of the City address, Mayor Reinert called on Duluthians to seek opportunities to improve the well-being of their neighborhood and our community by helping where help is needed. Simple acts of picking up litter on evening walks, refreshing and fixing the things we can, and reporting the things that we cannot. We know many Duluthians have been quietly doing this work for some time. Last fall, the community was asked to nominate the helpers in their neighborhood for the inaugural Good Neighbor Award. This person who quietly checks on a neighbor doesn't just clear their own driveway, but snow blows the entire block, volunteers to help our youngest Duluthians cross a busy street to get to school. And we received dozens of nominations for this award. And tonight we recognize a Duluthian nominated by multiple neighbors. Mayor Reinert, I'd like to give you our final award. The award winner for this first ever Good Neighbor Award is someone who goes out of his way to help a neighbor in crisis. His neighbors say he can fix anything. He's repaired cars, snow blowers, appliances, garage doors, and even flooded basements. He gives kids rides when needed and shovels sidewalks when homeowners cannot. One neighbor said she believes helping others is what gives him the most joy. Please join us now in recognizing Nick Carl, the 2025 recipient of the Good Neighbor Award. Nick, please join us on stage. You truly embody the spirit of this award, and we're pretty sure every single person on your block submitted a nomination. Thank you for being a trusted neighbor.
Sure. It really means a lot to me that my neighbors nominated me for this. I never expected it at all, and I just wanted to say I appreciate everything, and thank you very much.
Congratulations to each of our award recipients, and thank you for making our community a place we all want to live and work in. This concludes the 2025 State of the City program. Thank you for attending, and have a safe rest of your evening. Good night.